Good day, and thank you for joining Bruce County Public Library for this live presentation. My name is Nancy Cool, and I'm the program coordinator for Bruce County Public Library. Today, we're pleased to have Faline Bobier from the Outreach and Training Coordinator for CELA. CELA is the Center of Equitable Library Access. CELA is Canada's accessible reading service, providing books and other materials to Canadians with print disabilities in formats of their choice. CELA is a nonprofit organization that works in partnership with public libraries to provide access to materials at no cost at all to the reader. So before we get started, just a few little housekeeping items. So following our introductions, Faline will begin her presentation. So while listening and watching, we encourage you to submit any questions or comments here in the comment section on our YouTube page, or you can submit to our web form on the Bruce County Public Library website, and you should be able to see that link on our screen here or in the description below, and we'll address questions during and following the presentation. You may wish to take this opportunity to grab a pen and paper just so you can jot down some notes of worth and some resources. And if you don't get a chance to watch the whole presentation today, it will be recorded and posted here on the library's YouTube channel on our special guest playlist, so you can refer back to it again. And if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to keep up to date with our live presentations. We'd like to remind our audience today that if you don't have a library card, we've made it really easy for you to get one. You can visit our website and click the link for a temporary card, or you can visit one of our many local library branches. Membership is free and allows access to thousands of books and services like CELA, videos, electronic resources like magazines, movies, learning tutorials, and much, much more. Following the program, please take a moment to fill in our evaluation. Your feedback and stories help show the value of the library in our communities. And it's just a super quick survey, so please take an opportunity to do that for us. Faline Bobier has a master's in French from the University of Saskatchewan and a master's of Library and Information Services from the University of Western Ontario in London. She's been working in accessible library services for over 20 years, and we are very happy to have Faline with us today and looking forward to learning more about CELA, and we're excited to help bring more awareness to this valuable service. So welcome, Faline, and we're really excited to hear what you have to share with us today.
Thanks, Nancy. It's great to be here today. So I'm going to be going through a PowerPoint presentation, which I'm also going to provide to Nancy and Bruce County Public Library after the presentation, should they want it, or should any patrons want copies of the presentation. And at one point, we'll be switching from the PowerPoint to look a little bit at the CELA website. So I'll get started now. So the first slide is talking about what is CELA, which Nancy really ran through pretty well, so I probably don't need to spend too much time on this. CELA is a national not-for-profit organization. It's run by a board of directors that's made up of representatives from public libraries across the country. And as Nancy said, CELA's role is really to provide public libraries with accessible format collections for any of their patrons who have print disabilities. CELA is funded by participating member libraries, by participating provincial governments, and we partner with publishers and other organizations such as CNIB, which is one of the major producers of library materials in what I'm going to be calling alternative or accessible formats. And CELA, at least theoretically, currently serves the 3 million Canadians that are estimated to have a print disability. So the next slide, I'm talking about who's eligible to use CELA collections. There's a section in the Canadian Copyright Act that allows nonprofit organizations like CELA to produce materials in accessible formats for people with perceptual disabilities, which is the language they use in the Canadian Copyright Act, or what I'm going to refer to mostly as print disabilities. So the clause in the Canadian Copyright Act refers to people who have learning, physical, or visual disabilities that make it difficult or impossible for them to read regular print. So the clause refers to visual disabilities that might result in blindness or partial sight, to physical disabilities things like severe arthritis, cerebral palsy, MS, or really any condition that affects fine motor skills and makes it difficult to hold or turn the pages of a print book. And then the third category refers mostly to learning disabilities, such as dyslexia, as well as to some forms of autism and brain injuries. People who have temporary disabilities, print disabilities, are also eligible to access CELA service while uh, they're experiencing the temporary disability. So, for example, you might be someone who's waiting for cataract surgery, but you can't see well enough to read print while you're waiting, or a person who's undergoing regular chemo treatments and isn't strong enough to hold or turn the pages of print books during the periods that they're undergoing treatment. It could be a person who's had a stroke and is undergoing rehabilitation, and maybe they're temporarily unable either to see or to hold and manipulate a print book. CELA doesn't require a proof of disability form or a medical certificate for people to access our resources. There's a section in the online registration form where the person is simply asked to identify that they do have a print disability, that is, a learning, a physical, or a visual disability that prevents them from reading regular print. This is sufficient to give them access to CELA's collection and resources. Now, patrons can also access Bookshare titles at our website, library.ca. Bookshare is a US-based online library for people with print disabilities, just like CELA, but it operates under US copyright law. In order to access Bookshare titles at our website, patrons do have to provide a signed POD or proof of disability form. That form is available on the CELA website. If you happen to be a CNIB client and you have a CNIB photo ID card, you can also scan the card and provide this as your proof of disability in order to access the Bookshare collection from our website. So just very briefly, we'll be getting into this in more detail a little bit later. What do we offer? What choice of formats? So we have audiobooks, which in our case are called Daisy books that you can listen to. We also have accessible ebooks. So these would be books for people who do have vision or some vision. Um, they would be electronic text so that the text would display at the same time that you would hear the audio. And we also have books in Braille and print Braille. Print Braille, there's a picture in the PowerPoint slide that we're looking at now that has an example of a print Braille book. So they're children's picture books. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about those books later. So the next slide, what do we offer in terms of delivery options? So how do you get the books? It's possible to download accessible reading apps for a tablet or a smartphone where you can download books using those reading apps. You can also download our books directly to a Daisy player, so a special player to play Daisy books. It's possible to download books from our website. And we also have physical delivery, like through the mail, Canada Post, and it's free of charge. So if you're interested in receiving physical Daisy CDs or physical Braille books by mail, that's also an option to get our books. So the next slide, I'm going to talk more broadly about the CELA collection and what it gives you access to through your public library. So through CELA, you can have access to your choice of formats, the ones that we talked about, audio, Braille, and e-text or electronic text. CELA's is a growing collection of currently over 1 million items for all ages and interests. You'll find a broad selection of genres, similar to what you would find probably in a mid-sized public library. So fiction, we have a lot of popular genres like mystery, romance, westerns, historical fiction. We have nonfiction titles, poetry. We also have titles for all ages. So we have children's and YA or young adult books as well. Patrons who are signed up for CELA can also subscribe to CELA's Daisy magazines in audio. So those are on Daisy CD. But you can also subscribe to what are called Daisy text magazines. We have 150 full text accessible magazines that are available and accessible as soon as they're published in print. So some of those titles include Canadian Living, The Economist, Popular Science, The New Yorker. We also have children's magazines like Cricket and Girls World. So as I mentioned, CELA does continue to offer audio magazines on CD for people who aren't that comfortable using the e-text format or who don't have internet access. And those human narrated audio magazines include magazines like Chatelaine, Maclean's, Reader's Digest, etc. CELA also offers books in physical braille and print braille, as well as books in e-braille or electronic braille. Electronic braille book. So this is for people who read a lot of braille. They can use or access the e-braille books by using an electronic device that's called a braille display. Print braille books, as I mentioned, are children's picture books. So they have the print text and they also have a plastic braille page in between each print page. So they can be read by a sighted caregiver or parent and a blind child, or vice versa if the parent is blind. As I mentioned before, when you sign up for CELA, you can also access Bookshare titles on our website. Bookshare is the world's largest online library of accessible reading materials, and Bookshare books can be downloaded to a computer, a mobile device like a smartphone or a tablet, or to braille displays. As I mentioned before, all CELA members can have access to Bookshare titles once they've provided the proof of disability form, which is available on the website. One important thing to note about Bookshare audio, any audio from Bookshare will be in synthetic or computer generated speech. That's important to know probably because some patrons don't like listening to synthetic speech. But for those who don't mind it, it certainly opens up a lot more content to them. And on that note, most of CELA's books are in human narrated audio. And when you're searching on our website, you can also choose to only see titles with human voice narration if that's what you're interested in. So in terms of getting materials from CELA, it means that you have the option to either download, or if you're interested in getting physical formats from CELA, like books on CD or Braille titles, you can get those mailed to your home via Canada Post. And again, that's post free. So that's sort of a very quick little overview of what's available in the library. And one thing I didn't mention, but I should have, CELA's collection is a bilingual collection. So that means we have books and magazines available in English and French. Bookshare titles, for people who read languages other than English and French, Bookshare does have some titles in other languages. So if you do read languages other than English and French, it's probably a good idea to check out on our website what languages are available from Bookshare that might be of interest. The next slide just has some book covers These are from our list of the 5 most popular titles with our readers over the last month. So, for example, one of those titles is a book called State of Terror by Hillary Rodham Clinton and Louise Penny. Some of you may be familiar with Louise Penny. She's a pretty popular mystery novel author, Canadian, whose books are situated in Quebec with Inspector Gamache. So the next slide just talks about the benefits of accessible reading. So I'm going to read a little quote that we got from one of our CELA members in Ontario. And she writes, I just wanted to let you know how much I'm enjoying this service. Having been legally blind for 3 years now has been a hardship that has many times discouraged and frustrated me. This service has been a game changer, as the most important thing for me is to enjoy reading books with my 11-year-old granddaughter. So obviously reading can be a source of entertainment and a connection to other people, and audiobooks are just another way of reading with lots of benefits for children and adults. So the next slide talks about how CELA can help you choose books. So you have options. If you want to choose your own titles by logging in to our online catalog, you can definitely do that and place holds on those titles that you'd like to receive from CELA. We also have a service called automatic selection. So basically, you would tell us what kind of books you're interested in. So, for example, you might be interested in getting mysteries, romance, and biographies. You let us know how many you want in a week or a month, and we can send them to you automatically. So automatic selection is just a fairly convenient, no fuss way to make sure that you're going to get books on a regular basis and books that you enjoy. And it's also possible to combine the two options. So you can place holds on titles that you want to receive, but you can also get automatic selection. So when the system goes into your CELA account, it will look to see if you've placed holds on any specific titles. It will issue those books first, and then it will go into the subject categories if you've set up automatic selection. So that's just sort of how you choose books from CELA. And then we talked about what the formats are, but what kind of devices work with our books. So here again, there are options. You can read our books using a smartphone or a tablet. So you can download accessible reading apps. 2 of the most popular, one of them is called Dolphin Easy Reader, and we have a guide on our website to the Easy Reader app. It's a free accessible app, and it can be used with iOS and Android devices. Another popular accessible reading app is called Boystream, and both those apps will play CELA and Bookshare books. You might want to use a Daisy player. So there are several different models of Daisy players. In the PowerPoint slide that we're looking at right now, there's a picture of a Victor Stratus Daisy player that can be purchased from a company called Humanware in Canada. If you happen to also be a CNIB client, you may want to apply for provincial funding that's available through the Ontario government through a program that's called the Assistive Devices Program, which could potentially cover at least partial costs for a Daisy player. If you don't have access to a Daisy player, if you have a regular CD player, as long as it will play MP3 files, you should be able to listen to most of our Daisy books. You won't have some of the special features that are available in the special Daisy players. For example, the navigation keys that allow you to move through the book by chapter, by page, or by article if it's a magazine, but it will allow you to read the book start to finish. So, however, you're going to be accessing our books and magazines, there's a lot of help available on the CELA website at celalibrary.ca/help. There are step-by-step videos and tutorials there that should be helpful to you. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to escape out of the PowerPoint and go to CELA's website. And so, as I mentioned, the website address is celalibrary.ca. I'm going to log out of the account that I'm currently logged into. So once you're registered for CELA, you'll get a welcome email and it will have your 6-digit CELA account number. So I'm going to log in. So at the top, it's at the top row of the website, I'm going to select the link that says login. And what comes up in the first box, it asks for my account number. So I'm going to type in my 6-digit CELA account number. And then the next box, I'm asked to put in my password, which I hope I can remember. And then I'm going to select login at the bottom, and it should log me in to my CELA account. And it did. You'll know if you're logged in because on the top left-hand side of the screen, you'll get a message that either says welcome your first name or welcome with your CELA account number. So I'm just going to show you how to search the catalog. So I'm on the search screen. That's the home page or the main screen. We were talking about Louise Penny earlier, who's a mystery novelist. So I'm going to type in her name, Penny, Louise, into the search box. And then I'm going to select the search box here and see what comes up. Along the left-hand side of the search screen, you'll see that there are filters that you can use if you want to refine your search. So I've come up with 120 search results having to do with Louise Penny. On the left-hand side, you'll notice, let's say, for example, that I didn't have access to Bookshare titles. I could select the CELA only, and that means any search results are only going to be titles available from CELA. You can also filter for language. So if I'm only interested in seeing titles by Louise Penny in English, I can choose English under the language section. So I'm going to take the first book that appears in my search results, which is called The Hangman. So anytime you get search results, you're going to have the title, then you're going to have a description of the book, and underneath that description, you're going to have a box that asks you to choose a format. Because when you do a search for a title in CELA, most books are going to be available in several different formats, in Braille, in audio. They may be available in electronic text. So you have to make sure that you choose the right format from the drop-down menu. So let's say I want to get the Daisy audio CD delivered to me. So I'm going to choose my format. And then next to the format box, there's a link that says Get It. So I'm going to select Get It. And what comes up is a message that says the item has been added to your holds list. You can view your holds in my account. So I'm going to click OK. But we do have other formats. So let's say that you're reading CELA books by using one of those accessible apps on your phone, let's say. So you have a smartphone, you've downloaded the Dolphin Easy Reader app on your smartphone. The format that you want to use is called direct to player. I'm also going to place a hold. So I'm looking at the drop-down menu for formats. I'm going to choose this time Daisy Audio Direct to Player. And I'm going to select Get It again. And this time I get a message saying item added to your bookshelf and will be available shortly. View your bookshelf in my account. So I'm going to click OK. Now, if we scroll back up to the top of the screen, you'll notice next at the left at the top, it says Welcome Faline. Right next to that, there's a link that says My Account. So I'm going to select My Account. And what comes up, you have a list of various ways that you're going to access books. So the second link says Holds. Holds, those are any titles that are actual physical formats that are going to be mailed out to you. So the book that I just placed a hold on, The Hangman, is there. Normally, when you place holds on Daisy CDs, you should receive them within a few days to a week because it's essentially a burn on demand system. I'm going to cancel this hold because so I'm just going to put a check mark in the box beside the title because I don't actually want it to be mailed out. There's a link saying cancel selected holds, and then I get a message saying, are you sure that you want to remove the hold? So it gives you a chance to change your mind. And I'm going to select the delete because I do want the hold removed from my list. Now, I also placed a hold on the direct to player format. So I'm going to go back into my account. And underneath the holds link, there's a link that says direct to player bookshelf. So this is the format that you would use if you're using an accessible reading app, or you could also be using this if you have an internet enabled Daisy player. So I'm clicking on the direct to player bookshelf. Now, the book hasn't appeared yet. When you're accessing an online format as opposed to a physical format, it can sometimes take several minutes before the book will actually appear in your bookshelf, but that's where you would look for it. And I already have the Dolphin Easy Reader app downloaded to my smartphone. So once I put this book on my bookshelf, I would also be able to access it just by going into the app on my phone. So I know that's a very quick demonstration of how you can search the catalog. But you can also, anytime, once you're signed up for CELA, get help either from someone at your public library or CELA has, it looks like, let me just see here. So it looks like now the direct to player version actually just appeared on my bookshelf. So you can see it took 2 or 3 minutes for it to appear, but it's there now. And so if it's on the bookshelf in my CELA account, I'll be able to access it on the app on my phone and listen to it there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation, to the slide that we were looking at, or the next slide. So how do you register for CELA? So let's say you do have a print disability, you'd like to get access to CELA, which, as Nancy mentioned, is a free service. There's 2 ways that you can do that. You can register at Bruce County Public Library, because Bruce County is a CELA member. All public libraries in Ontario are members of CELA, thanks to funding from the provincial government. So a library staff person can help you register. If you don't have a public library card, you will need to get one because CELA is a service provided via the public library system in Canada. So you can register with a public library staff person. You also have the option of self-registration. You can go to the CELA website, to the registration section, and self-register as long as you have a valid public library card, because that's the first piece of information that you need to put into the online CELA self-registration form. So you have those two options, and you submit the form online, or a library staff person would submit the form as well online. Also, sometimes people will have a family member or a friend who's going to act as what we call a designate to basically assist them with managing their library service. So it might be a relative who's going to, if you're not someone, for example, who's familiar with the internet, you might get a relative or friend to help you place holds, for example, on your account. So this person will have access to your account and can make changes on your behalf. But you, as the person with the account, have to designate them, or have to give your permission for them to have access to your account. And we were talking before about how to register or how to search. You can also contact anytime. CELA has something called the contact center or the helpline. There's a toll-free number, which is on this PowerPoint slide, 1-855-655-2273. Or the contact center also has an email address, help@celalibrary.ca. So anytime you need assistance, you can definitely either call that toll-free number or send us an email at help@library.ca. So let's say you've registered. Either a library staff person has registered you, or you've completed the self-registration form. Sorry, I'm just taking a little drink of water there. So once we get your registration form, we send you a welcome message, normally via email, and 2 starter books, a popular fiction and a popular nonfiction title to get you started. If you want to set up automatic selection, so the service I was talking about before, where we create a profile for you, and then the system goes into your account regularly to send out books. If you want that automatic selection, you do need to get in touch with the contact center. Or if you want to get more books, you can also log into your account and select your own books, as we looked at previously. And if you're going to be using or reading our books on a smartphone or a tablet, you may want to download and set up the Dolphin Easy Reader app. As I mentioned before, there is a quick user guide on the CELA website about how to download the Easy Reader app, but you can also call the CELA Contact Center if you need any help setting up the app on your phone or tablet. And once you're registered, and if you have questions, definitely, I'm sure Nancy would tell you, you can contact or talk to staff people at your local public library, at Bruce County Public Library. And you also have the option of getting in touch with us at the CELA Contact Center at the toll-free number or the email address that are on screen right now. So I think that's more or less everything that I wanted to cover. I know it a bit to go through in a fairly quick time period. But as I said, definitely public library staff and CELA staff are here to help you or to respond to any questions that you might have. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Faline. That was very informative. I've been aware that we've offered the service for quite a while, but haven't really experienced the ins and outs of it. So thanks for going through all of that with us and all the different formats that are available. There's so many options for people to utilize through CELA. So it's amazing that you were able to share all that with us today. It was really, really great. And such a valuable service as well. And I did want to mention, I'm very glad too that you did mention in the beginning that, beyond visual disabilities, that also you offer materials for people with physical or learning disabilities as well. And the short term, like I love the example that you gave about, somebody, maybe going in for cataract surgery or that sort of thing, allowing the ability for people to access the service for a short amount of time if they need it. So yeah, that's wonderful. And yeah, so much information there and such a vast assortment of materials and titles and genres. And I feel like you could just, like, in a public library in a physical building, you could just like peruse your digital shelves for for ages and ages and not come to the end of them.
That's right. And we also do have, it's on the main page, so
Mhm,
library.ca. We are always asking for suggestions, either from
mhm,
patrons or library staff. And
mhm,
we do, as much as we're able to, we do try and add those titles to the collection.
mhm.
So
Oh,
if,
great. Oh, so you'll take
yeah,
suggestions as well then.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. I did find it interesting too that you said that you what did you call it? Burn on demand?
Right, basically for the CDs, for people
Mm,
who want to get the Daisy, the books on CD.
mhm,
Typically, it's not a very long wait because essentially when you get the book on CD, no one else has ever used it. So
mhm,
also you that sort of cuts down on sometimes before when we used to circulate a book more than once, people might get a CD that had scratches on it or was damaged. But now,
mhm,
since basically anytime someone makes a request, it's a new copy that's being burned
mhm,
for them. It should
mhm.
be hopefully relatively flaw free.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a real, that's a real thing too. I mean, we circulate books on CD, obviously here from the library, and yeah, and that happens frequently. The discs just get worn out and scratched, and from use and that sort of thing. So that's amazing that you can do that for your customers, for your clients. That's great. I did want to mention too, for people who may not be aware, that the library does allow access to two Daisy players we have available, so you can, if you want to, like, test out CELA services and try out a Daisy player and see how it all works. We do have two available for lend, and you can just take them out with your library card. You just have to go into your library or call your library up and put a hold on them. So you do have to have a valid library card to do that. But a great way, again, to try out the service for sure. One of the other things I wanted to mention too, I did talk about the books on CD, but we also have these nifty little gadgets here. I'm not sure if you can really see that. I'll try to hold myself. Uh, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but anyway, it's called a playaway. Um, yeah, I have the background blur on, so it's hard to see when you're holding something up in front of the camera. But basically, what it is, it's just a small little device, and you plug earphones or a headset into it just with the little small round plug, and it just has a button on the back for play, power on, has a little battery. So the one I have here in my hand is Jodi Picoult, Wish You Were Here. So we do have a collection of those as well, just to kind of get away with the fiddling around with the CDs. I don't know. I always manage to get one in the wrong order when you have like 14 in a audio CD. But so those are a neat thing to try too with your library card, and another way to listen as well. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to check to see if we had any further questions, and I think it looks like we are okay there. So yeah, I think we'll wrap up for today. So again, if you're interested in signing up for CELA services, just connect with your local library branch. They'll be very happy to help you. And for more information to see what materials are available, consider visiting the website, celalibrary.ca. And you can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. You have some social media there as well with CELA. So please consider some of our other library resources. And we mentioned the books on CD, the playaways, and the Daisy readers as well. So today, thank you to our digital services coordinator for looking after all the technical behind the scenes things, and to our communications coordinator for setting up our YouTube event for us in the feed today. So thanks guys for doing that for us. And one last reminder today to arrange for your library card, and to share your thoughts about the program by filling in the link to the evaluation, and subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can find more live and recorded presentations and stories for children, activities you can do from home, and all sorts of wonderful goodies in there. So again, thank you, Faline, for joining us today. It was so great to have you, and I encourage everyone to go out and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Nancy, and thanks to Bruce County for allowing us to talk about the service. That was really helpful. Thanks.
Great.